Hello everybody, Dark Ninja here today. Today I'm going to be doing some high-level commentary over some of my replays, kind of getting back to the roots of what this channel is all about, teaching you how to play World of Tanks better. And so my plan for this video is to go over some UDES 15-16 replays and just tell you what's going through my head throughout the game and explain my decision making and point out some things along the way that I think could benefit you in improving at World of Tanks. So besides this first battle, which was a pretty crazy battle with extremely high combined damage, this replay features very high damage and very high spotting at the same time, which is kind of rare. Rare to see, and you'll have to wait until after the game is over to see the result. It's pretty crazy. Besides this first game, I'm probably just gonna pick some random games and just we'll see what we get. Instead of, what I usually do is pick better games I've had or games where I see particular things happen. So you might see some stinkers today, we'll see. But for this first replay, let's just get right into it. So we get Melanovka, and thankfully I have a CVS loadout, which I'm planning to bring this game because oftentimes late game, especially from this side of the map, late game, after you win the hill, there's a bunch of campers that stay in the forest, and so I'm hoping to take advantage of that later on in this game, and that's why I decided to bring the CVS loadout here, because I figured I might get a lot of endgame spotting damage. So the first thing I'm looking at when I queue into this game is what am I going to be meeting up on the hill and whether there's artillery or not. So I see that there's 2 artillery, and they're both batshit arties, which is going to be quite annoying if I decide to go up onto the hill. And so, and then the other thing I noticed is they only have 2 heavy tanks, the Conqueror and the S-Conk and the Amex M4. And so I'm already kind of not really wanting to go, like I'm not looking forward to the hill fight is what I'm trying to say. The hill fight does not look great to me because there's only 2 tanks that I'm likely to meet up there, maybe the Bliskowitza as well. But besides that, if you look at what tanks they have, pretty much the rest of their tanks, besides those 3, maybe the 430 as well, our all tanks are just going to be sniping. So I see this Manticore peeking right now. Go for a shot on him, and we hit him. And one thing you'll notice at the very start of the game as well is I take quite an aggressive path across to get up to the hill. If you're in a tank that's quick enough to do that kind of pathing or has good enough camo to take that kind of pathing, I would recommend it for sure. I see a lot of people take the leisurely route to the hill, and I think that's oftentimes a mistake. Now I'm thinking, since I have CVS, so you can see right there, I pinged right here at the entrance where the Manticore is going to peek, and the reason why I'm pinging this is I want to see the distance away. I see that it's 275 meters. Now normally a Manticore with pretty much bounty or bond low noise and full camo crew skills, I won't be able to light unless I'm around 250 meters or closer. But since I have CVS and I checked the distance, I'm thinking that there's a pretty good chance that I'm actually going to light this guy because the CVS lowers his moving camo. So that's what I was doing there with that distance marker. And I figure he's going to peek again, so I go for a shot on him. And he does peek. He probably thought he was going to stay unlit with me at this rock, but it's not the case. And he actually tries to peek again as well, so. And now I'm just thinking, okay, that guy's probably not going to peek again. It's about time for me to head up to the hill. I did try to do a little bit of arty dodging. I didn't expect to still be lit right now. I think he might have shot me after I was lit. I'm not sure, but, yeah, we've got a lot of people up on hill. And so this is probably just going to be a pretty quick fight. And one thing that I've noticed is we've already taken the top up here. And so it's pretty unlikely that they're going to be able to push up to the top of the hill. And so usually what you want to do on a hill fight is you want to win the top, and then after you've won the top, only then do you go low. And if you need to still have teammates up here, then you go low and come here and shoot them in the side. But if you pay attention, I'm not actually going up the hill right now. And the reason why is they are not even pushing up to this position here. They're not even pushing up to here. They're all the way back here. And so if I want to get shots on these guys, I'm going to have to over peek on this corner right over here. And in the process of doing that, I'm not only going to be peeking into a bunch of very high alpha tank destroyers like the DBVs, I'm also going to be getting pounded by 2 arties. So I decided that it's just not worth it for me to even go up there. And normally I wouldn't make this kind of play, but since I have CVS, I actually decide to go to this bush here. I know that their light tank is dead, they have nothing else to spot me. And so I decided to come to this bush here, and I'm thinking that I can potentially get some spots out on people in this area for the people on top of hill. And another thing that I've noticed is our Manticore is actually YOLOing into their base, so I can get side shots on their base as well. So right now I'm kind of just farming the campers in base. And you see I'm pinging it. That's because I know our people on top of hill are probably going to have shots on these guys. And another thing to note is we have a 4K5 back here, and this guy will also potentially get shots. So I'm just over peeking, and the Sturv is in the open. Our 4K5 should be able to shoot him, and actually our DBV gets him. And from this position, usually you can't get side shots on that 430 and S-Conk, but they're kind of over peeking, so I'm actually able to get an angle on them as well. And these are the spots I was looking for here. I don't think that our guys on top of hill can easily over peek on these guys right now, but they might do it anyways, so it's worth keeping them lit. But there you can see the 430 actually shoots me. I wasn't expecting him to be able to just peek that like that. I thought our guys on top of hill would punish him if he peeks, but apparently they can't. That was a pretty bad shot. This thing does not have the best shell velocity. Even with perfect charge, it's pretty bad shell velocity. The AMX is so tall that I can shoot him, but usually more low profile tanks I can't actually get a shot on in that position. But now that they've abandoned this position over here at A7, now is the time where I can farm a lot of spotting damage, because our guys are going to be able to overpeak up on the hill without getting spotted, which means everything I spot is going to get deleted. So I want to get preferably unlit right now and move up, because I want to get deeper vision basically on the M60 and the Leo, but I can't quite do that yet because I can't be spotted. I have to make sure that I'm unlit before I make this cross right here, because their base campers, like the Bliskowitz and the 183, are definitely going to be able to shoot me if I'm still spotted when crossing this. I'm kind of just spot checking right now, making sure that I'm not lit before I decide to go forward. And so I have a choice right here. I can either go in this bush here, or I can go in this bush. The reason why I decided to go in this bush first is because I'm probably still going to get some spots from this bush anyways. And this bush is quite a bit more dangerous, because as you peek up here, if this 430U is in one of these edge bushes and outspots me, then I can actually get shot getting into that bush. So that's one thing you need to be careful of when after you've cleared hill. If you're trying to peek into that bush, you need to spot check to make sure you aren't getting lit before you go into that bush. And I'm only 900 HP, so I could take some arty shots going into that bush, so I definitely want to be a little bit careful about doing that. Try to blind the arty there. Also works as a spot check. I do get spotted peeking that. And right now I just need to stay safe from the arty as I'm getting unlit. And there I spot the 183. This guy I thought was going to block me, which that would have been annoying if I got shot for that, but thankfully I don't. And now I'm thinking about moving into the other bush because I'm not getting any more spots from this bush. But I don't actually go into the bush. Well, I think I might spot check it first might go into it and spot check. But I decided to do something else in a second. Because I'm pretty positive that their 430 is in one of these edge bushes here spotting. And so I think what I decided to do instead is try to outspot the 430. I do have CBS. And if you pay attention, all their high alpha TDs are dead. So this play I'm about to make is pretty aggressive, but I figured I could probably get away with it. So what I'm going to do is peek here. This is pretty risky usually, but I figure if one of them has an angle on me, it's probably fine. If you look, I figure that there might have some tanks over here, probably some tanks at A5, but the main angle I'm worried about is C1, because I'm mostly hull down to this side, but C1 I am not hull down to. They can definitely shoot me, but since I haven't been spotted here before, I know they're not going to be preaimed on this position most likely, or at least not directly on it. And so I figure I can just quick peek, spot him, and then pull forward into cover. And if you'll notice, I'm doing this in reverse. If I had done this facing forward, it would have been way more risky because I couldn't retreat as fast after spotting the 430 and getting spotted myself. There, I thought I was unlit, so I started going forward. I think that was a little bit too early. I should have actually waited a couple more seconds before going, but I just really, really wanted... As you can see, they have no tanks left, so I really wanted to YOLO in as quick as possible to get the spots on the remaining tanks. Because if I can even if I die for it, if I can just spot them, I could get like potentially 3,000 or 4,000 spotting damage for spotting them at the end there. So that's why I was so much wanting to push there so aggressively, but my teammate actually goes in and spots them. But thankfully, I didn't actually realize this at the time, I don't think, but a lot of our tanks weren't in position to shoot yet, so they're still pretty healthy. They didn't all die when our teammate spotted them, so that means that I can still go in and get some more spotting damage here potentially. This is where the CVS is coming in handy, for sure. I decided to shoot the Leo first, because I thought the Foch would die, and it actually worked out to my benefit. Or no, the reason why I shot the Leo, it's not because I thought he would die first, it's because the reason why I shot the Leo, and this is actually kind of important, is I'm spotting this guy already, so I'm gonna get assistance damage if my team shoots him, but I wasn't spotting the Leo, and so there's no real reason for me to shoot the Foch B as if I'm going for spotting damage and if I'm going for combined damage, because they'll get spotting on him anyways, even if they shoot him. But with the Leo, I won't get spotting if he dies, so it was more important to shoot the Leo if I'm going for combined. That was a pretty bad shot on the Artie, and I'm figuring that this last one is probably going to drown himself. I actually do end up somehow getting a shot there, not sure how. But as you can see, this guy did not drown himself, thankfully. And so we get spotting on him as well. So yeah, this is a pretty massive game. You can see we did 6.9k damage and 6.2k assist. At least that's what it shows. But I'm going to quickly show you that we actually had some blind spotting in this game. So we get 6.9k damage and 7k spotting. Pretty huge game for combined. And it's kind of rare to see this much spotting along with a ton of damage. So it's kind of a unique game in that way. And we got 1453 base XP, which is pretty crazy for a tier 10. So yeah, that's the first replay. I'm probably going to do a few more, maybe a lot more, we'll see. So stay tuned for that, for those, if you're interested. Okay, so for our next replay, we're on Mines. Mines is a map where, at least from this side, I should say, you might be pretty surprised to see how I play it. So I think most good players on Mines, almost all good players actually, would probably go towards the hill. And just play either at this rock, is probably the most common position for a medium, or up here, and then play against their heavies. But I actually usually don't like to play mines like that, in medium tanks, I should say. I actually like to play the one line usually. I do sometimes go hill, but I usually only go hill if I know that I can actually go uphill. So if I'm in like a CS63 and I analyze the comp and see that we have better mediums for hill than they do. But I usually just don't like risking going uphill. Even in something like a CS63, oftentimes I don't do it. Because it's just too much of a risk. You can bleed a lot of hit points going up, and sometimes you'll even die for it. And so I just don't like that risk and gamble. And also, I just don't think that I farm that much damage compared to one line. I think one line I farm more damage. I mean, you can farm a lot from up on hill, but I like one line more. So let me explain to you why I like the one line more than hill. So first of all, one thing to point out, as you're getting into initial position here, you can take this route usually. There's kind of a hold down here where that makes you somewhat hold down when you're crossing this later part. You're pretty safe from the one line doing that. So you can take the quick route usually in a faster tank. And then the other thing is you can stop right here for a shot on people going up the hill. So you just stop there, shoot it once, and then move into position. So the main reason why I love the one line on this map is because of an angle that you'll see in a second. So you obviously get the angles on the island people, and this hole down here, it's pretty hard for them to fight against you. You can kind of just farm them for free. But really the main reason why I like the one line is the shots onto middle that you can get. So regardless of whether your team wins hill or not, there's oftentimes people that play in this area here, as you'll see in a second. Actually, I don't know if I get shots in this replay on this area. I can't remember if they push up or not. But usually, if you lose the hill especially, which is oftentimes the case when you're in one of the medium tanks and you don't go hill, usually your team won't contest hill, or if they do contest hill, then they'll lose it, which is actually a good thing in this case because it means that they'll have more tanks playing in this area behind this rock. And from out here, you can either sit in this bush or play here and just shoot them on the side. And they obviously, a lot of people don't know about that angle, and so they won't even know where they're getting farmed from, and you can oftentimes get multiple shots. Now in this game, we win the hill, so it's less likely that they're going to push up in the middle. And I think if I remember correctly, they don't actually end up pushing up the middle, so that can happen when you win the hill. Since I'm not getting any shots on the mid or on this E50M, I decided to push up now. I can play hold down against this E50M, and he's, as you can see, there's nowhere for him to hide. He has to back up all the way here if he wants to get safe. And anybody that's DBV mid, if this guy backs up, we'll shoot him. Our K-line guys, if this guy backs up, we'll also shoot him. So he's just free damage right now. He can't go anywhere, and I can just play hold down on him. And it's pretty common that you'll find somebody here in this position, so it's pretty likely that you get some free damage in the beginning. Usually I would not recommend pushing up the one line like this until after you stop getting shots on people on the one line and the people on mid. Now after I kill this guy, I can see that we're winning this game pretty hard. I mean, they have 4 tanks dead, and we have the hill, and we only have 1 tank dead. And a lot of their leftover tanks are super heavies, so they're kind of just going to be trapped under the hill, unable to do anything. So I decided to push up here, but I want to get unlit first. Or do I decide to push up? I think I do. At least at first. So I see that this 4K is back at the rock. This is another thing you can do from the one line. You can take blind shots on their TD perch. But I wouldn't waste too much time doing that unless you're pretty confident in where they're sitting. So this 4K I saw was spotted at the rock, so I go for 1 blind on him. So I come up here not just to shoot that blind, but also because I wanted to spot if anybody was like here. I think that's what I was thinking. And so when I see that they're not there, you can sometimes go to this bush here. You need to be very careful doing this. If you know that someone's playing in this area at the base of the hill, then this is not a play you can make. This is only a play that you can make once you've cleared this area so that you don't get proxied by this, and after this area is clear. And then, only then, can you do this. And then, if you're gonna do this, you need to have good enough camo that you're gonna outspot the tank destroyers, and not get spotted by them in return. And then it's still, even then, a little bit risky because if they have this position here and they decide to move up, then you can get shot. But right now, it's kind of the perfect situation to do what I'm doing because our DBV is watching if they push up here. And I'm in an UDES, which has excellent camo and pretty decent view range, so I know I'll spot them. Now right here, I load HE. Now you might be wondering why I just fired, because I'm not 445 meters away from this guy. So that might seem like it's extremely risky. And usually that would actually be true, but the difference is in this case, I'm behind a bush. If I was sitting in the open here, then I probably, or pretty likely, would have been spotted. But since I'm in this bush, I don't get spotted. And you might be wondering what the hell I'm talking about because I'm not double bushed right now. I'm just sitting in the bush. But there's actually a very rarely talked about mechanic involving bushes where if you're inside a bush, and you're not double bush, but just inside the bush within 15 meters, you still retain some camouflage. And it's usually about 10% for 105 caliber guns. And for higher caliber guns, like a 183 or something, it'll be about 5%. And for like 122 millimeter caliber, it'll probably be like 7%. And so I retain enough camo. My after firing camo is probably about 7% already. And so then you add another 7% to this from this bush, and then suddenly I have 14% camo. And so that's good enough to not get spotted by a 4005 unless he has optics or binos. So I felt pretty confident taking that shot there. So yeah, that's the explanation of why he didn't spot me. But I actually overlooked something here, which gets me punished here and almost killed. I forgot. So there's one thing that I overlooked, and that's the fact that, okay, I didn't spot their DBV here. And their Type 71 I didn't spot here, so then the question is, where the hell are they? And the answer is they're sitting back here. And so I easily could have been killed here because they're actually peeking that bush and spot me later on. So yeah, pretty lucky to have survived here. The 183 doesn't shoot me. But yeah, that's something I overlooked in this situation. So now I'm down to a one-shot, which is pretty sketchy. Take out the 183. And now I don't really anticipate getting any more damage on the one line. So if you're not getting any spots from here onto A4, and all their A4 tanks are dead anyways right now, so I can't farm that anyways. And the DBV's in the bush, so I can't peek low regardless. This one-line push is really hard, so I would almost never recommend moving up to here. It's usually a pretty terrible idea. Not always, but especially if they have back here, then it's just a terrible idea. But I'm thinking about rotating now because I'm not going to get any damage on that DBV or Sturv, and the Type 71, if he even is still there, which he just got spotted, he isn't. I'm not going to be able to do anything from over there. So I decided to go back middle. This is a rotation that I make pretty often in this kind of situation when we're winning. After I've done everything I can on the one line, I'll come back mid and I'll push like this if we have the hill. This is the angle I was talking about earlier. So not only can you get the angle from up here, but you can also play in this low ground like over here. Or even from here, another angle. Another angle from here, by the way, is onto this corner on the hill. So if there's ever somebody peeking your mid guys from this corner where the S-conk is, you can just come here and just shoot them back. That's one thing to note when playing the one line on this map. You can't get that angle from anywhere else except for there. Here I'm just going for a blind on the DBV because I figure he's probably still peeking that. I actually go for a couple. Not sure if those hit or not. I can't remember. But then I stopped my rotation mid, and I can see why now. It's because, as you can see, basically their whole team is dead, and the only remaining tanks are all in B2. So there was no reason to rotate anymore. Might as well just farm what's left on the one line. I expect the Stirf to be peeking here, so I'm thinking about going for a blind shot, but I decided not to. I would say I'm peeking too much right now. The Stirf could actually have killed me, but I'm not sure why I peeked that far, but it worked out anyways. Should not have gone for a track there, because I could potentially get spotting on him after he fires, but it doesn't really matter that much. As you can see, I did 5.2k damage and 1800 assists this game. I thought the Artie was in this corner because I thought I saw him fire from there from earlier, but apparently he wasn't. And I did hit one blind shot this game. I'm not sure what it was on. Maybe the DBV. Can't remember. And I also got 300 blind assist damage, but it was a first class. Pretty good game. And I would say in general, mine self spawn, because of this H1 position, it's a very consistent map for me, because if you lose the hill, you're basically guaranteed to have a good game, because it's almost impossible to die here because you have a hold down. You can get a ton of free damage on mid and on one line. You can move up and make some progression plays later, as I said, which is, you don't get that much damage out of that usually, but most of the damage is in the beginning of the game. But that's still nice. And the big thing as well is if they win the hill, they're pretty likely to win the game. And so if the rest of your team dies on the other side of the map, you have this super great defensive location where you're always going to get out a lot of end game damage if you're losing. So that's also really nice. And then if you win the hill and start winning the game, then you can always just rotate over here and just push the 4 line if you have a tank that can play decently hold down. Or you can always just retake the hill late. Those are both options if your team wins the hill and you start winning the game. So yeah, that's kind of just a breakdown of how I play mine self spawn. Let's move on to the next replay. Okay, so next map is Outpost, and we find ourselves on the east spawn, northeast spawn. And on this map, in a medium tank, 90% of the time or more, I usually go south. What I like to do in south is try to push the south, especially if I'm in a tank that works well hold down. Even something like a Leopard 1 or a CS63, which aren't the best hold down tanks, I still would probably go south most of the time. So first thing I do is turn my turret in the beginning, because sometimes the enemy will YOLO middle, and you'll spot that, your team will spot that, and then you can get free damage. This game I was a little bit distracted, I think, in the beginning, so I wasn't really ready for it. I probably could have stopped here and shot this 907. I don't know if I do. Yeah, I don't think I do. I just send it straight. Which honestly isn't... I think it's probably worth it to stop usually. Because these mid guys can become a pain later on if they take mid, so I probably would stop just for the fact that you can bleed them and potentially get them killed, which could be big. So I got pretty lucky bouncing the DBV there. Their Manti got into an early bush to spot the cross, which is good. When you're pushing this, you want to come like this. If you have good enough camo, you can even go probably a little bit longer route, but I wanted to just get across the gap as quick as possible, so I took the fastest route. And then when you come around this corner here, make sure you're on lit before you cross. Or at least make sure that you aren't going to get shot, because you can get shot from up there and also from that bush right there. This is an extremely common bush to be sitting in with tank destroyers, so just watch out for that when you're pushing. And then also on this cross, if you get spotted here and you're going to cross here, then make sure you don't get shot. So I have a good hold on tank, so I'm just going to move up to this corner, or this this corner here, this ridge line, and try to spot if they're in that bush. I assume that I'll probably spot them if they're there, and I take a blind to scare them off as well. I should have pinged the distance. If it's closer than like 120 meters, which I don't think it is, then I'll spot everything. I think the DBVs, if they're sitting still, will actually have enough camo to sit up there, especially if they have low noise. But most other things, like things with 20% camo or less, I'll probably just spot straight through the bush, because it's just one bush, it's not two. But I take a blind, so I'm pretty confident no one's there. And you kind of have two decisions here to make. I'm taking the safest way. You can sometimes just drive straight over and just get onto this ridge here, and this ridge is pretty good. But the safer play usually is to take the route that I'm taking right now. And the main reason why I'm taking the safer route is because they have middle, first of all, which can shoot me if I play in this spot here, potentially. And this position is out of render of middle, so it's better in that regard. The other thing is that Manticore's mid, so he'll be perma-spotting me if I play here. If I play here, the Manticore won't be perma-spotting me. And the other thing is they have 2 artillery, and I know how much artillery likes to shoot this corner, so... especially with no heavy tanks doing anything in the north, artillery will 100% be aimed here, so I have to be very careful of arty. But I don't spot anybody on the ridgeline. As you can see, that position back there is like completely hold down on all of this. So that's what makes this play that I'm doing so strong, is oftentimes you'll get a lot of farm on people on this ridge. Even from here, which is kind of the route that I usually take anyways. I usually go this aggro route, which I probably shouldn't be doing. I should probably be going the safe route, but I usually take this route. You can play hold down on them and kind of just kill them for free. Especially because a lot of the time they're tank destroyers, which can't really play back against you because they don't have any armor. And they can't play hold down or anything. You do have to be careful when you take this position. Oftentimes there's a lot of tanks here, and so if you take the super aggro position instead of the safer one, they can just push on you. So, like, they'll die for it. Your team will just kill them. All your snipers behind will just kill them. But, you know, you don't want to die, obviously, so just be careful of that. Try not to get over pushed. And now I find myself here. A little bit scared of the arty. And yep, as I'm speaking, I say that. I'm just making quick tiny peeks on this guy. I think he has, he might have low noise or a camo net, but I'm not positive. He might just have enough camo. I'm not actually sure how much camo that tank has, but I assume if he's sitting still and he has full camo crew, I won't spot him, even if he doesn't have low noise. But either way, I'm not spotting him, which is kind of annoying. And here I'm just playing this ridgeline. I want to move up into this bush right now and see if I can get some deeper vision on some of these tank destroyers who are in the back. I have to make sure that I'm unlit before I go into here. Another thing you can do from this spot that I'm at right now is you can blind fire this bush here if you're able to. Anyways, you oftentimes have to clear the guys who are here before you can shoot this. But there's very commonly someone in that bush. But I move up into the bush, get some deeper vision, and shoot the DBV. I should have been more wary of this angle before I did this, because in retrospect, it's kind of obvious. Like, the DBV is already spotted back there. We know there's someone back there. And with how many, like, all these guys here who are unspotted, I really doubt that they're still, like, all of them in this area. Like, some of them probably rotated back. So that was actually a hit. What I did is lined up the damage indicator. I lined it up with my reticle, and with the you see this thing on the top of the screen, this diagonal reticle, which you can find in the settings here under reticle. Use the diagonal indicator, it's the best one, and the reason why, the damage indicator, which is up here and shows like a triangle or something, you line it up with the top of this diagonal, and then you can see exactly where the shot came from. I line it up and I see that he's in that bush, and I did hit him direct in that bush, so I expect this guy to peek, so I take a blind shot, and I was correct. I actually get a blind shot there, and I see the Manticore shooting me, and I'm trying to line up that Manticore angle as well to try to see where he is. But I can't quite tell where the Manticore is, because it looks like he's kind of just somewhere in the open. I'm not entirely sure where. Maybe it was from the bush. I can't quite tell, but I couldn't figure out where he was. But we're already up to 3,200 damage and 600 spotting. I try to blind the V5 because I figure he's there. He isn't, though. Another thing to be careful of, once you've moved up to this position, There's very commonly a light tank in one of these bushes, so you want to make sure that you're not getting perma-spotted when you're picking this, but I know that they're Manticore based on the fact that I've been getting spotted. Like, he already shot at me, so I know he's over there, but also I'm just not getting spotted, so I know that there's nobody mid. And so this is kind of a strange game in the fact that they have an E4 kind of just camping in these buildings. Usually what happens is you clear this ridge, and this is where all their tank destroyers are, and you kind of just kill them all, and then you can just move on and drive towards their heavies, because the game is basically over at that point. But this game, no one played at this ridge, and they all fell back and played like super defensively, so I can't actually push very easily. And I'm actually going to make a mistake later on in this game. I mean, I think it's probably a mistake, but I think I also kind of just got a little bit unlucky, but we'll see. So I see this DBV spotted out of render. I'm trying to line up the shot and take a blind out of render. Don't think it hits, but I'll check the post-game stats anyway. So now I'm not getting spotted when I fire. So I figure what I want to do now is just YOLO down and get safe here. And basically move up and spot, get underneath their guns, and then progress my way up. And I think I can do this safely because I'm thinking the Manticore's back there. The E4 is probably not going to be aimed at me because I think he's just playing. What I think is he's just sitting behind one of these buildings, just waiting. You'll see in a second that that's not the case. And then I expect the V5. I just saw him get spotted up here. He wasn't peeking this corner. Even if he is peeking this corner, I have good enough camo that even if he did rotate to the corner in the meantime when he was unlit, I'm thinking that I'm going to get lit so late that he probably won't even get a shot. And if he does get a shot, it's not a big deal. It's just 750. I'll eat it. But as you can see, their E4 was actually in this bush here, just sitting there pre-aiming this angle, which really caught me off guard. And then I also get set on fire, so that doesn't help either. And now I'm in a really bad position because I'm a one-shot. And I think I still could have actually gotten safe there. But I didn't actually know... I didn't know in advance that I can't move my cursor for some reason, but I didn't know that there was a safe spot to my right. I only knew that after the game, after I analyzed what I could have done differently. But yeah, there's a safe spot to the right. I figured there is somewhere safe here in this general area where I could sit and, you know, progress the game, but I didn't know about... Okay, that's how I can do it. I can go like that. Yeah, like, I didn't know about this spot in advance. I was kind of just YOLOing in and hoping to find a safe spot. Actually, I think what happened is I thought this spot was safe, but then I kind of looked at it here, and I'm like, can he get an angle? And I thought he could, but yeah, he couldn't get an angle. I could have actually gotten safe here. In retrospect, should I have made this play? I think it wasn't the most optimal play. I don't think it was necessarily a terrible idea. I think I did get a little unlucky with the E4 poking that angle and getting set on fire. But I think the safer play would actually be for me to go all the way back around, especially considering the fact that my team is kind of just sitting here right now. They're not like farming people in the north or something. There's no incentive for me to push because no damage is being dealt. So it's not like I'm missing out on something. I have all the time in the world to make a play. So I could have rotated all the way back. And then I think what I could have done is try to find a timing where I can push up into the middle. Because this V5 can't play against me in the mid, I can just Penis Cupola. We have 2 artillery as well, and he's kind of low. He's only 980. So I can just kind of push him off the mid, and then just find a timing where he's backed up, and then I just YOLO up into the mid, and then from there I can dig out a lot of people. The game still might have slowed down even once I took mid, but it just would have been the next logical progression. My team ends up losing this game, and what I think they should have done is as a team, they can't push to the north, they can't push to the south. As you saw, the south is like extremely hard to push when they're playing back here and with the E4 in the buildings. The south was basically impossible to push unless you go like the route I did and then push up into here. So what I think they should have done is actually went across mid, pushed into the V5, killed him, and then went from there. But yeah, we end up losing this game. Let me quick show you the results for this game. So we have 3,200 scene damage and 500 spotting. And we had 500 spotting, but we actually had, is that 2 or 3? I think it's
muted. Microphone activated.
I think that's 2 blind shots with a high roll for the blind shots. On that DBV we hit, and something else I don't remember. Well, yeah, that's the third game. I think I'm going to leave this live commentary here, with this being the last battle. Hopefully you enjoyed and learned a thing or two, more importantly. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention about the Udes, I've been playing this thing recently. I think this might actually be the best medium tank in the game for good players. This thing is like really strong because you can side scrape with it, you can play hull down, it has good camo. And yeah, the only real bad thing about this tank is the gun. Everything else is good. Like its armor is just super strong. But yeah, gun depression as well, of course. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. I'm probably gonna do another one of these style of videos pretty soon, and I think I'm gonna do it in the Concept 5. Because there's not much content on the Concept 5 on YouTube, I've noticed, from content creators. And I just recently had a good 3 marking session in it, so I want to share some of my games with that. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. And please share the video with your clanmates who might need some assistance in improving, if that's the kind of thing they would be interested in. Alright, see you guys later.